don't know what a minimum age is here, but it's essentially 4-year-olds. So who are these kids and what's level 1? Well, level 1 is sort of when we had a lot of parents who wanted to start their kids younger than 5 years old, which used to be our youngest student. But then we realized, well, we can't really ask 4-year-olds to handle everything that we're asking the 5-year-olds to handle, as far as complete sentences, as far as really focusing on correction of pronunciation, all of that stuff that's very important, and that we focus on level 2 and up. So what VIP Kid did was they developed a level 1. And so the level 1 is sort of an introduction. And if the student is ready to talk more, they can talk more. If they're not, and they're just kind of repetitive, or even if just they're watching us, that's okay. Of course, we want to try and get as much student output as possible. Of course, we want to try to get as much student engagement as possible. But we're also always keeping in mind that they're 4, and that we really need to make sure that it's fun and engaging, and that it's a great introduction, rather than necessarily focusing so much on student production and student activity. So let's take a quick look at this video. This is a student who I believe when this video was taken, I think she was actually 3 years old and like 10 months. You can look at the student's age and birthday on the app. So she was a little gal. And actually, I went to take a clip of this class, and and my video didn't, for some reason, my video didn't pop up in the playback. But I thought, oh, this is actually a great clip to show, because it really focuses on who the students are here and what's important to get them doing, and what a class should be looking like, and less focus on what I'm doing as the teacher. So let's quickly just watch this. And also, she's just so cute.
Fast. Slow. Fast. Slow. Fast.
Okay. So one thing of this clip that usually when I give a workshop and I'm looking for clips that I want to give folks, show folks, I show clips of really great student output where I'm not talking that much and I'm getting the students to do a lot through TPR or through different strategies. I'm doing all of the talking in this clip. Why is it still a great clip, and why do I like to emphasize that? Well, of course, I wasn't using a ton of talking. I wasn't using a lot of incidental language or anything like that. I was making it fun. I was using the language to get the student engaged with the material and practicing it in the way that she was comfortable. Now, I did have her repeat fast and slow, of course, at various times throughout the lesson also, but she was squirrely in this lesson. She was having a really hard time sitting down and following directions. So I went into, okay, we got to get her moving, and we're going to focus more on movement than necessarily output, because I want to keep her attention. So what did we do? We had a really fun time doing fast and slow. Wonderful things that we see her moving. We see her being excited enough to like look at mom and say, hey, look at me, what I'm doing. We see her laughter, but look, all of a sudden she's following directions. She hadn't been following directions before, and now she's engaged. So it is okay if you need to go to something like this rather than just having the student talk, because if that's what's going to keep them engaged, great. Remember who these kids are. Don't forget that. You cannot use a ton of incidental language, or really any. They're not going to get it, and they will get overwhelmed very, very quickly. Some students, when they're overwhelmed, will obviously just sit there and listen and kind of probably feel badly because they don't understand. And some students at this age, when they feel overwhelmed, are just going to like not pay attention, and you're going to lose them. So make sure that you're being very, very sensitive to their personality and also their level needs. Okay. So a few important facts. The students are placed at the different units throughout level 1 based on age. Remember that there is only one trial for and I want to really emphasize this because some people say, oh, I had this student in level 2 unit 1 and they should be back in level 1. Well, they're not. Well, maybe they're 5 or like an older 5, and so no, it's not appropriate for them. Level 1 is not about the level, it's all about age. They're there because we're just giving them a little bit of a cushion time before asking them to do all the stuff that we ask them to do from level 2 up. Level 1, there's only one trial. So normally in trials, I'm sure you all know there's that like assessment section, and then you either move to a higher or lower trial if they need that or whatever. We don't have that at the level 1 trial. There's just one trial for all of level 1 that everyone does. And the point there, of course, is just to make sure that it's really fun and engaging. We have checkpoints, and checkpoints are like what we usually think of as UAs. They do come at different points than the UAs, but it's essentially that. And so, you'll fill out a rubric just like you would normally fill out a rubric for the UA. What is the story on the complete sentences? I know a lot of people say, but I thought that was, we had to do that. Okay, so definitely if a student is ready to speak in complete sentences, and if a student is ready to talk to you in complete sentences, awesome. And definitely then once you see that, and if it's a regular, you're going to get them talking a lot. You're going to use a lot of the same skills and the same strategies you would at level 2. However, we are not expecting that of the student, and we are not going to spend time trying to get them to do that if they're just not ready for it. It's totally fine for them to just repeat or for them to give us one-word answers. That's okay if that's where we are. Sometimes people say, what, mom is in the picture? And so literally mom might be in the camera frame with you, or dad, or I'm not with you, with the student, and that's okay at this level. The mom and dad at this, the parents are expected to help out with behavior and also to just help out with general comfort, right? So that the student feels comfortable talking to a complete stranger online. Therefore, so mom and dad might be there to help with that sort of thing. They might be there to help with mouse work, if that's something that's challenging for them. However, and I really want to stress this, mom and dad are not there to teach the class for you. Mom and dad are not there to translate everything you say into Chinese so the student can do it. No, you still need to use all of your great TPR and demonstration strategies and speaking slowly and speaking intentionally to get lots of good student output. So be very, very aware of that. We do not want to see, if you notice that. And of course, sometimes we have overactive parents, of course, who are going to translate everything anyway and are going to tell the student the answers and all of that. And of course, that happens. But if you're not modeling clearly, and because of that, the mom's picking up the slack and telling the student what to do, there's probably going to be a parent complaint about that. So really make sure that you're very clearly supporting the student, and whatever you're asking them to do, you're giving them the scaffolding so they don't feel like, I have no idea what this person is doing. They have a lot less skills at this age, and of course, patience and attention span to kind of figure out what you want them to do on their own. We need to really make sure to support them along the way. And then remember, we don't teach phonics at this level. So we're not teaching phonics with letter sounds, phonics and letter name together. What we do work on is phonological awareness in general. So what we do have, that comes in activities where, like, a student, there's a picture of a girl and she might be making the sound like, ooh, and there's a picture of her going, like that. Of course, then you get the student to try to match that sound and do the facial form so that they can make it clearly. And then they start practicing it in words, in just one words, like one word answers or one word activities. So that's what it kind of looks like more than actually teaching phonics. So if you have any more questions on the actual facts of level 1, or there's any information that you're unclear about, definitely make sure that you have that PowerPoint and that you've clearly read it through it all, and that you understand all of the logistics side of it. Any questions or comments so far before we move on to some practical application? Okay, excellent. Let's see. So a few things that are so important at this level. First of all, what is the attention span of a 4-year-old? Preschool teachers out there? Or moms? Anyone know what the attention span of a 4-year-old is? Yeah, okay, 10, like 4 minutes, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. I've heard, I know a lot of times people say like a minute a year is like the max. So 4 minutes would be the max. A few seconds in some cases for sure. So really, really keeping this in mind and remembering we have to be on it. We have to be interesting. We have to be engaging. So one of the best ways is just through creativity. Take the student off guard. Do something that's totally, ridiculous or random. Like a lot of times in my, when I'm saying hello to the student after I've done my little intro, I might say hello to my puppet might sneeze on me, or my puppet might eat my headset or something, because I'm really trying to show the student, oh, hey, look, this is going to be a fun and engaging class and we'll be silly and I have their attention. If you have a student who's really having a hard time paying attention, you're going to have to pull out all of those kind of silly shticks to really get the student engaged and at least watching you. Now, of course, to be totally honest, a lot of these kids, the parents have prepped them very well. They can sit, they can focus and all of that. However, not all of them are like that. I have had trials where the kids, starts off by the parent trying to grab the kid from running away. And then it's like, oh my gosh, what do I do with that? So then you just be really funny, you just be really engaging. And the first thing you do is just really try to get them at least watching you and paying attention to you. And then as you get going, you start to get them to talk and engage more, maybe first physically and then verbally if possible. So have fun and laugh a lot. Prepare. This is important at this level more than any other level almost, because you cannot improvise your language. The student will not know the language that's beyond what is on the screen or their previous knowledge. So you have to be very prepared how you're going to model things, what props you need, etc. And also, there's not a lot of time. You will lose the student's attention if you're like, oh wait, hold on, where's this one prop? I can't find it, right? Prepare. Also, the parents are going to be, more than any other lesson, and I'm sure parents often are right there, but more than any other lesson, the parents are going to be right there. So we need to make sure that we show that we're very professional and prepared. We definitely make sure to raise your camera to eye level. So if you notice, my camera is at eye level, I'm not looking down. And also I have very balanced lighting on me. This is important because, I've seen folks who are very sweet when you have your camera down and you're looking down and then you have an overhead light. It can have a horrible shadow on your face and you're looking down. It can be very scary. So we want to make sure that we aren't scaring the student with our image. So make sure you have a professional setup. Of course, be silly. Don't forget that you can use your voice as a tool, right? So you can sing things. You can use hello, my name is Maya, and keep it really fluid like that. The students a lot of times really enjoy that and connect with that. And then of course, this is going to be a prop heavy lesson, and all of these lessons are going to be very prop heavy. So a few things to keep in mind. Of course, you're always going to have your stuffed animal puppet, your flashcards for the letters, your whiteboard for 1,000 different things. Definitely make sure that you have a mouse. Oh my goodness. There we go. Make sure that you have a mouse ready to go if you need to model it, or if the student is on the tablets, which of course you can see in the chat box if they are. You can use your finger and your phone or your iPad and have that ready to go so you can demonstrate drawing on a screen if you need to demonstrate it that way. Those props are a must. And then of course some silly props to help re-engage. So I would say some silly glasses, a noisemaker, all of that kind of stuff. So if the student is having a hard time or is distracted, you have those ways of kind of bringing their attention back and keeping it fresh. Also, I believe in the PowerPoint, in the training material, there is a link where you can print off all of the characters. As you know, Meg and Mike travel in each unit to a different country. And so they meet a different kind of main character in each country. So you can print off all of those and create stick puppets, which a lot of people like to use here to make it kind of fun and model clearly. Also, if that's not working for you for whatever reason, remember you can always screenshot and then just cut out the character and then make your puppet that way also. have costumes, silly hats, you know, all of that stuff is very, very important. Okay, so the slides, how do the slides start? They start with the intro slide, which is going to look something like this. It'll say Megan, Mike in China, Megan, Mike in New Zealand. Now, normally level 2 and up, we always do ask that you try and build rapport on the intro slide by asking various questions if the student can do that, which, you know, after the first few lessons of lesson 2, unit 1, they can do at least their name, how are you, and how old are you, right? And then, of course, as you get higher, you're asking much more engaging questions. Well, we're not expecting the students to be able to answer questions and have a long conversation here. It's very simple, it's straight, it's to the point. The point here is just to be friendly, to smile, to briefly mention where Meg and Mike are, and to introduce yourself. I don't ask the student what their name is here unless they kind of give it freely, or you see that maybe that they're really, you know, sometimes you can hear before class that mom has been prepping things, right? Like you hear the student practicing saying their name and that sort of thing. In that case, I would ask it, but probably I wouldn't ask it right away on this hello slide because I don't want to overwhelm them from the get-go. I want to make sure that they feel very comfortable and that I can ease them in smoothly. So it might be something like, hello. Hello. My name is Maya. Hello. Oh, just to try to get them to laugh and break the ice a little bit. Oh, Meg and Mike in China. Let's go. And that might be it, right? Unless it's a regular or unless it's a kid that I really see is with it, I might try and get them to say hello back to me, you know. But that's about the extent of it, unless I know that they're really ready to go further. It just needs to be that brief of an introduction. Okay, so then right after the introduction slide, you have your hello song. So the hello song is, now here is where we really want to engage with the student. On this first slide here, you can, you know, try to do hi, and this might be where you might say, you know, you might ask them their name or something if you see it's like that mom has prepped them with that and you're ready to go, or if they're, you know, a regular student, then that, you know, they can handle that. But the hello song, a few things to keep in mind. The point is not to get them to sing it perfectly or to have them pronounce all of the words perfectly. It is okay if they need to la their way through it, which means that they don't say it, you know, they don't really say the words or make the sounds. If they just follow the tune, great. What we're doing here is we're just trying to really engage the student and get them to like get into that, like, okay, we're going to repeat from the teacher, I'm going to move around, I'm going to be singing, I'm going to be talking, I'm going to be interacting. That's the main goal here. So you're not going over a minute. Make sure you're using lots of great TPR to encourage repetition, your energy is high, and of course that you have a variety of props that can help. So I know a lot of times folks have like their microphone. Of course, you can always use the famous dry erase marker. You can always model repetition with your puppet, right? So like, hello, hello, right? And get the student to do that with you. So just keeping your energy high, trying to do all the movements. Maybe there's a dance you have with it and encouraging the student to do that with you. So that's what's really important. And another note about the songs, there's in every unit, there's also a unit song. And the songs are it's the vocabulary, but like, for example, the New Zealand one is like, seeing New Zealand is my wish. Let's eat some yams and some fish. They do the haka, have you heard? Let's go and search for a kiwi bird. That's like a lot of difficult vocabulary in there, right? So of course we're going to take our time when we're going through, I'm sorry, I have something in my eye. Of course we're going to take our time when we're going through the unit song and try our best to get them to act out and focus on the target vocabulary. But again, if they need to la their way through some of that song also, that's okay. Mostly we want to get them to see the picture and maybe say the target word and move with it. Now, another thing I would like to mention about the unit song I do believe the links to all of them are in the training, in the email that you should have gotten in that PowerPoint, I believe. If not, remember that if you go to the classroom tab in your portal, so that's the one where they show all of your classes show up as like a list, not as the schedule, but just a list. If you go to the, you go to the line of your level 1 class, if you go all the way to the right side where it has like feedback and materials and all of that, the last link, there'll be an extra link on that right side for a level 1 class, and that will be the song link. So do make sure that you've prepared it and that you know the words and that you can sing it well and clearly. One thing to keep in mind is that the students have seen that video. You do not need to show the students the video again. They can watch it anytime they want to for free. You don't need to waste class time showing that to them. When you are going through the unit song, the point is that they're singing it with you and doing TPR and moving through it and having fun, saying the different vocabulary words and maybe repeating certain sections, etc. So if some teachers do like to put it on in the background, I think that sometimes that actually eats up some time because they start and stop it, and then so I would suggest not using it, but making sure you've watched the video and that you know the tune clearly and that you can sing it correctly. But definitely don't take time to show it to the student. They can watch it anytime that they want in the pre-class material. Okay, any questions so far, or are we all good to go? Okay, excellent. So after the hello song, see a comment here. Good to go. Thank you for the feedback. Let's see, after the hello song, in every lesson, we go into the reward system. So it's going to look like this or like this. It's a slide. The reward system is going to be a reward system that you've created. There aren't any suggested ones like there are in level 2 and up. So the reward system at this level is all about the student. It is not about behavior. It's all about student engagement. So a few things to keep in mind with that. We suggest always having a variety of reward systems kind of ready to go so you can adapt it. If the student is just not into your reward system, you can try something different. Think sparkle, think glitter, think bright colors. We want it to be attractive and we want it to be something that the student will get excited about the best you can. So make sure to clearly make it a pretty thing that they're looking at and something fun to get. The reward systems, like I said, are not behavior-based at this level or have anything to do with the student's ability to produce anything. So remember that if there is a behavior issue, you're really trying to solve it through heightening your energy or adjusting your way to engage the student through a funny prop or doing some physical humor to try and re-engage them. But if, it's just really, really poor behavior and they can't sit down and they keep running around, at the end of the day, that's the purpose of having mom or dad there to help make sure that the student is clearly, sitting, visible, prepared in an area that's not distracting, etc. And remember that this is a great tool for student engagement because, like we talked about before, a 4-year-old's attention span is at best 4 minutes and, maybe even just a few seconds. So I always suggest using your reward system as kind of like your commercial break at this level, and then it sort of, resets the class, and then whatever you do next, you kind of can change it so that way it feels like it's a different activity a little bit more, or integrating some sort of song or movement or some repetitive thing throughout in the reward system, so that way you get the student, maybe there's a little dance that they get to do every time. And so then they get to move, and then when you start over again, they've had a little bit of a break. So that's something that's important. Are there any tips? Sarah's asking, are any tips on introducing the reward system with limited language? Yes, definitely. It can literally be kind of like, oh, hold on, let me get my sticker ready so I do it right. Oh, yay! Burr, 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 burr. Ah, yay! Good job! Done. Whatever it is that you're going to have the student do, say, and whatever the reward system is, just do it one time. You can say good job, that's fine, but you don't need to say anything like, when you do this, you get this. They just totally won't understand it. So just focus more on physically showing excitement and positive feedback, and then whatever you get the student to do. So maybe mine is I put a sticker on my face, and then I try to get the student to do good job. And so then every time we can do that, and they can move with me as we go along. So it's just very simple. It may not take a full 30 seconds, but just make it clear and fun. Now, one thing that is important about your award system is it does need to be visible throughout the lesson. That means it's not going to be something that you can put down, that you're going to put down and then hold back up. We want it to be a constant visual reminder of the support that the student is getting and encouraging them to continue to do well. So that being said, it needs to either be something hanging on your wall, where you might do something like, you know, holding up a card. I probably wouldn't use animal cards for this low of a level, but I have other level. I usually do stuff for level 1 on my face, like the stickers, or on my shirt. I also sometimes use a headband where they get different things on the headband, because I like it to be very present and very clear. But it can be on the wall, and you can, like, whatever it is, hold up the image and then put it here. That's fine. Or it can be on your person, or if you want it to be like a physical thing, that you like a whiteboard, or I know some people use different types of, you know, Mr. Potato Head or Legos or something. You would have a table or a shelf where you can visibly show it and then put it back. And you're going to use it also with stars. You don't have to tell the student, like, oh, when you get 4 stickers, you get a star. You know, don't tell them that. They won't understand. But go ahead and make sure to also give stars throughout the lesson. So, you know, whatever your reward system is, a sticker star, however it works for you. I always, at this level, make sure to also, when I give a star, I'll draw a star on the PowerPoint and make a big deal too. And I might get them to, like, say star with me or something, and then we might have like a specific star dance that we do. So it's another great way of kind of keeping your award system dynamic. Any questions about that? We good to go? Okay, great. So a lot of times, like I said at the beginning, people say, wait, you're telling me I can't use any incidental language, that it's a 4-year-old and I need to be aware of that and adjust to that level. But then you want me to teach things like freckles and have them play the game rock, paper, scissors? That seems crazy. Like, how do I do all of that? And yes, there are some difficult slides. And so what we need to always keep in mind is that the purpose and the objective here is to meet the student where they are. And then, of course, try and extend it just a little bit further, but never overwhelm them, right? We always want to push them a little bit further to learn that new word, or to try a different sound that's difficult for them, but we're never going to push them overboard. So if you do get to a difficult slide, always feel free to adjust it and make it simpler to the needs of the student. Now, one thing that's important to keep in mind too is that you definitely are going to need to practice and prepare a lot more here because of the modeling and making it really clear. And also keep in mind that not all the slides and vocabulary words were chosen only because, you know, that was just the word that somebody thought of. Some of them, like, lend themselves better to mouse skills. Some of them lend themselves better to being a more physical class. So those things were chosen to keep the class moving and to work on these other skills that we want the student to work on. So let's kind of jump in and take a look at this. And like left and right, that's kind of difficult. But what I highly suggest is, remember, you can go into your classroom 48 hours before it's booked. And so you can make sure you have like a muted mic, and you can, excuse me, or if you don't have a muted mic, just remember that you are being recorded. So I might go in, you know, like 24 hours before, turn on my video. Remember, I'm being recorded, so if I don't want someone to see me looking a certain way or a certain sound in the background, mute my mic, or just make sure I'm in a quiet place. And I can practice my dimensions. So for example, with left and right, we do have like the flipped mirror screen, you know, and it's going to be different than it's appearing right now in Zoom. But what's good to know, like, for example, right now, the way I see myself in Zoom is not the way you see me in Zoom. But what's great about the portal is the way that you see yourself on the screen is the way the student sees you. So definitely go in and practice, okay, is my left or is my right my left? So you have a really good feeling for that and you can know how to do it really clearly. And then the other thing to keep in mind here, if you get to this left and right side, it's not just like, oh, left, left, right, right, and getting the student to repeat it. No, it's how can I get the student moving, dancing, singing, engaging. This is a great slide to get that movement. Do I sing to one side and dance to the other? And of course, I'm also going to get them to repeat left and right, and I'm going to check for good pronunciation and all of that. But how can I take it up a notch thinking that it's a 4-year-old? Does Meg go to the left and Mike go to the right? How can I really make it more engaging than just having them repeat and point to something? The student needs to be moving around. You need to be moving around a lot. Do we have access to the pre-VIP kids slides in advance or only 48 hours? Oh, excellent question. Okay. So yeah, and I apologize. I don't totally understand what you're saying about, but I'm glad you got in. I know that the 12:01 time is confusing for sure, and I'm glad you got in. So Angela is asking, do we have access to the pre-VIP kid slides in advance or only 48 hours in advance? You have access to them on your app as soon as it's booked, just like you would any other level. The 48 hours I'm referring to is your time before a class that you can actually go into a class, not on your phone, but actually go into the class and look at yourself in the camera and like turn your camera on and see where the limits of the camera frame are. That's what I'm referring to with the 48 hours. And I think you can only also, if you want to see the PowerPoint on your computer through the portal, that's 48 hours also. But remember that you should have access, and this is true with level 1 also, you have access to the PowerPoint as soon as it's booked. I believe the only time you don't is if there's a trial class. Let me double check to make sure I'm saying that correctly. Yeah, I believe the only time you don't is if it's a trial class, because obviously you may go through them. Oh no, I have a trial class. Oh no, it's not. It was not a trial class. That's a lie. Let's see. No. So yes, okay. So trial classes are the only classes that you don't have the PowerPoint pop up. So that one, if you do want access to the trial classes, you need to go into the classroom on your computer. However, my guess is for a level 1, here I had one booked this morning. Let me check if I can see this. No. So I would say, so okay, the level 1 trial also did not pop up on my phone. So you'd have to look at the trial also on the computer in your portal. Okay, great. So let's keep looking at some of these more challenging slides, like back and forth, back and forward. Again, this is another great one to practice, like this dimension. And I also want to kind of I want you guys to keep in mind at this level, the student, when you're trying to like be big and have, you know, energy and do sort of different types of things, this dimension is awesome to work with. You know, coming up close and showing them your mouth, or going back and showing big TPR and doing more stuff. Remember that you have that dimension to work with in addition to side as far as your expression. Okay, let's look at this slide for Freckles. If you were a Chinese student and you hadn't seen a person with freckles before, what would you think this boy had, or what's going on with this boy? Dirty face, he was sick. And Angela, we'll get back to what you just wrote me in a second about them not being ready for regular classes, and we can talk about that later. Dirty face, he was sick. Chicken pox, yeah, exactly. I've heard someone say, he's a leper, he has the Black Plague. Of course, that's what you would think. You hadn't seen very many people with freckles before. So as the teacher, how can we make sure to be ready to teach this slide clearly? What do we need? I wasn't born with freckles, but I might draw freckles on my face. And I can use like a liner, like an eyeliner there. But of course, having real props drawn on a whiteboard, I can show that too. But to make it really, really clear, have a picture, real life examples. Yeah, as Sarah says. So what I can definitely do kind of the drawing on my face, because that would be kind of silly and funny and engaging. But we would really need a picture of someone with freckles for them to understand it clearly, right? So make sure that you have that ready. Again, I just want to emphasize, we don't have any language that you're going to be able to describe freckles with. So show them. Be prepared to show difficult things. If you can't with your body, like left and right and back and forth and all of that, be prepared to show them with physical realia. That's great. Of course, you can always, find a picture online and show them with your iPad or your phone. You don't even necessarily have to even print it out. And of course, you're going to also have them repeat it multiple times too and get them to talk. But we want to make sure that we're supporting them with a clear explanation. And if we need to do that with visuals and not with words, awesome. So be prepared with that. And why freckles? Okay, freckles lends itself really well to an activity of drawing freckles. So in this slide, we are going to, of course, get the student to repeat and say freckles still, but now the focus is the mouse skill. So don't forget that sometimes that is the objective. Here we really want them to practice drawing the freckles, whether they draw them too big or too small, or even really, of course, we want them to try and make it on her face, but at this level, the student might be really struggling for that finite skill of on her small little face. So, as long as they're close, that's great. And giving them time and space to really practice that. Now, some students at this level are very adept with the mouse already. It's quite impressive, even not that, I mean, most kids who've had a few classes, and if they're using an iPad, they get pretty good at drawing. But some kids are even pretty adept at actually using a physical mouse. It's quite impressive. However, some kids are really not. So this slide and having them draw a few freckles might take a while. So of course, you're going to clearly model what you want the student to do with either your mouse or your screen, and then give them time to try it and don't rush them through it. Okay, so let's think of a more difficult activity like rock, paper, scissors. I know in the teacher directions it says like Mike and Meg are flying a kite in the park. Suddenly they notice some kids playing rock, paper, scissors. You're not going to read that to the student because that's too confusing and they of course wouldn't understand. So it's going to be something so simple like, oh, Mike, look. And maybe you get the student to repeat that. Oh, yeah. Rock, paper, scissors. And you would maybe get them to repeat that. Let's play. And then you go, okay? So it's really, really, really simple. Okay, so then you might go to this and you're going to use your TPR to demonstrate rock. You're going to get the student to do the TPR. You're going to get an actual rock so you can show the student a rock and get them to say it a bunch of times, and you can use funny voices or sing your way through it. Of course, the same with paper and scissors. Now, if we notice here, once we get to this slide, it says, review all the gestures by first circling them and having the student say it. So just reviewing it with them. And then you might do something like, oh, what is it? And if the student can say rock, awesome. You don't need to get that complete sentence out of them. But maybe they're not even ready to answer independently. So then we can adjust. What is it? Rock? Yes? No. And then maybe all we're doing is getting them to say yes or no. If that's where we are, that's great, right? And so it's really okay to adjust to the needs of the student. And then once you get into the slides where you are like playing rock, paper, scissors, remember again that the student, it's not going to be like, okay, we're going to be able to play a perfect game right away. You might just spend your time sort of modeling the game and having the student follow you. So like rock, paper. Ah, yay, paper. And they would do that and repeat with you. And that would be great. You don't have to get into a back and forth game necessarily if they're not ready for that. Okay. Do you have a list of props that are suggested? Oh, great, Angela. So yeah, we talked about definitely you have to multiple in MC classes, it's a good idea to play rock. In MC classes, this is an MC class. This is a major course class. It's just level 1. You can play rock, paper, scissors. I don't. Are you saying as like an extension activity, or what do you mean by that, Angela?
In any class that you have, like, will they already know how to play rock, paper, scissors in China?
Yeah, oh, okay, yeah, so they probably, I would say again at this level, they might not because they're 4. So
Okay.
again, we're not assuming that they do. That's what I said when you get into there's a few slides after this, sometimes where it'll show, people playing it. You don't need to play the perfect game with them. If you're just getting them to model, rock, paper, yay, paper, and that's all you get to, awesome. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Just modeling it really clearly wherever they are. And as far as playing it in other, probably with some of the, probably from like 7 or 8 on up, I'm sure that they play it. A woman said yesterday that it's exactly the same. And then somebody else already told me that it's a little different. So I don't know. But as far as like an extension activity,
Kind of like in a reward. I heard
oh,
of
okay.
people doing like popsicle sticks and like taking out a popsicle stick and, oh, show me a silly face, or, quick
Oh, I
game
see what
of
you
rock, paper, scissors, or,
Yeah,
little
definitely.
dance.
Yeah, as a reward, I would say it could be really cute. Definitely, it wouldn't be a very good extension activity because it's
Okay.
just kind of meh. But as a reward, as something fun, that would be a cute idea. And I have seen it used well as an extension activity actually because it facilitated, it was like they played it and then the person who won or lost had to say or do something. And so it was quite interactive, but it was more because it facilitated the real extension. But it in of itself wouldn't be a very good extension activity. At a higher level as a reward system, it would be very cute. At this level as a reward system, it'd be totally inappropriate because that would be like way too much to get the student to do probably.